Hey there, everybody. I hope you're having a good day in your little corner of the world. I have been having an interesting day. It's been a very turbulent last couple of weeks, actually. And it feels like I've been having to shake off a lot of things. And it feels like I'm in the middle of the storm, and then the storm passes and I'm happy. I see the rainbows, I see the beautiful clouds, and I see the big blue sky, and then all of a sudden, bam, the storm comes again and just washes over everything and destroys things, and there's a huge tempest that does away with everything. And I'm talking about storms and, rainbows as a metaphor, right? Silly metaphor, but nonetheless, it's true for myself. I feel like this year has been up, really high, up, and then down, up, and I'm, enjoying the peaks and seeing all the views, right? From a bird's eye view. I'm up in the summit, but then sometimes I feel like I'm down in the valley, and the valley is dry, and there's a bunch of wind and storm, and you can't see much beyond your surroundings. You can't see the bigger picture, so to speak, because because of your angle, right? You're down low, you're down in the valley. Whereas when you're up in the summit, you can see more. You have a more of a macroscopic view. And I guess right now I've been experiencing many moments where I'm down in the valley and I have a very microscopic view on what's going on with my life, and I identify with my own character, the character of Megan, and I just get caught up in all of it. But then I have moments where I hike up the summit and I can see the bigger picture. I could see that there's more to my life than what I see, down in the valley. If that analogy makes any sense. But anyway, I feel like all of us, or most of us, and maybe I'm biased because I'm living in a country that's currently going through a severe regime, what do you call it? Like a severe authoritarian regime, change from democracy. Well, it wasn't ever really a democracy, was it? Because not everybody had equal rights. There were a lot of achievements and advancements done in the civil rights movement. There's still a lot of work to be done. But that doesn't mean that we can't, look back and see that we've come a long way, right? But it's also important to recognize that there's still a long way to go. But anyway, I feel like the chaos that is happening in this country, unfortunately, was absolutely necessary. And I hate to say this, but I think it became a wake-up call for all of us, because I would have never in my life thought that this country would follow a type of authoritative, repressive path. I never saw that. I knew that I've always known, as somebody that is a minority, that there is such thing as injustice and inequality, and it was obvious, right? Systemic racism, all of that. But I never thought that the government would be so blatant in their self-serving machinations. I guess everybody was pretty much blindsided, and not blindsided, because at least for myself, I saw corruption from the very beginning. Not from the very beginning, but ever since I was in high school, or even further back. I never trusted the institutions because my mother never trusted the institutions. So it was like that was kind of ingrained in me to not really trust the institutions and think more critically and see what's going on and see where the inequity is at, right? But I remember it used to be a conspiracy theory to assume that the U.S. government was corrupt because they were pretty good at hiding it, and they had a pretty good PR. But nowadays, it's not like that, is it? They don't care if people know what they're up to. They're more blatant about their actions. And I guess that's what I mean. I never thought that they would be so blatant about their own selfish, nefarious agendas. Like, they're so open about it now, right? And they're not afraid to admit it. Admit that they're following their own agendas. Well, anyway, I feel like most of us are going through, well, when the outer world, I find from my own life, and this may not be true for everybody, but when life on the outside is chaotic, it usually also is chaotic internally for me. And I guess you have to battle the outside world and the inside world and kind of find a way to integrate them both and dance in harmony with both of them. But I truly believe that the internal storm that I'm going through, and the internal storm that the outer world is going through, this outside 3D world, this dimension, the storm that the 3D world is going through and the storm that I'm going through is absolutely necessary. It's not a curse, it's a blessing. The storm is a blessing because it will get rid of all of the impurities within myself. And I'm not talking about sin. If you're thinking about kind of like the Christian connotation of impurities, or Abrahamic religion interpretation of impurities where it's sinful. I'm talking about, when I say impurities, I mean things that don't serve you, things that don't allow you to be authentic, and that illusion that being yourself isn't accepted or desired. So that's what I mean by impurities, getting rid of those illusions. And so the storm serves as a way to wash away the impurities of yourself, and when the world is going through a storm, washes away the impurities of the land. And yes, it leaves destruction behind. And yes, it leaves chaos and there's turmoil, but it's absolutely necessary in order to rebuild something stronger and more efficient for ourselves and for our own growth. So, storm is here to bless us, not to curse us, but we can't see it right now because, well, at least for me, I'm down in the valley, and so I've only got the valley view. But I'm trying to hike up to the summit to get a peek of the overlook of the views that are the 360 view. And so that's what I'm trying to do with my life right now, and taking it step by step while I'm trying to hike up the summit. Sometimes I get tired. Sometimes I go out of breath. Sometimes my legs hurt. But I rest a little bit, maybe camp there for a day or two, and then I continue my journey up to the summit. And then eventually, once you reach the summit, you get to stay there for a little while too. You get to see the views and you get to see everything around you, and you get a different perspective, which allows you to have a different attitude in life. But all things must come to an end, right? And you have to go back to the valley because that's where your home is at. That's where your comfy bed is at, and your family and friends. Now that you have the bird's eye view, it's time to go back to the valley and bring with you what you've learned in the summit. And you go back to the valley and you come back stronger and you live your life, and then you forget. You forget that there's a bird's eye view, that there's a macroscopic, wider aperture view of the world, of your life. And then you have to go and make the journey up to the summit again to remember again. And then you go up to the summit and you remember the views again, and you remember the power of yourself and the power of life and the power of being alive. But then you have to come back down, that new remembrance. Come back down, and once you're back down in the valley, you remember again, and then you live your life, and life gets in the way, the distractions of life get in the way, the distractions of this game get in the way, and then you forget again. Then you have to make the journey back to the summit again. And that's life. Going up to the summit, coming back down. Going up to the summit, descending back down. Going up to the summit and remembering that there is more to life than what you see. Then going back down to the valley and taking that remembrance with you. Then living your life as authentically as you can. Then you forget, and you go back up, then you forget, then you go back down, then you forget, and it's this process, isn't it? So, storm is necessary sometimes, right? Because it helps us remember what really matters. When we're down in the valley and there's a terrible tempest, we remember what matters. And what matters to me, is my family, my friends, and the people that are close to me that have made a positive impact in my life. It's all that matters to me. I mean, yes, it's nice to have shelter, and it's nice to have food, but really what matters is my tribe. To me, that's what matters the most, because they remind me and give me the strength to keep going and to not give up this game of life, and that they're also playing this game of life, and they're also struggling, but we're here to help each other, you know. And I think for most people, when they ask themselves what truly matters, I believe that most people say that it's the connections that they have. It's their family or their friends or whoever they feel is for them and has their back, you know. But that was just my statistic, okay? That's what I believe others think. When they think about what really matters, when they go down to the nitty-gritty and ask themselves, what really matters in life? And I assume my Megan statistic is that most people would realize that it's the connections that they have in their lives, and the bonds that they make, and the way that they lived their life, living authentically, being yourself, not forgetting that you were desired in this world. Your life was desired. God desired you. And I'm not talking about, I always hesitate to use this word God because it's laden with meaning, right? But I'm talking about, I guess, consciousness, or whatever God you believe in. Doesn't matter. All rivers lead to the ocean, don't they? So you were desired. Your life was desired. Don't forget that. Okay? I'm here because of you, and you're here because of me. Thanks for being here. Peace and love. Bye.